Cassius Stewart wrote, in 1834, when our ancestors celebrated the breaking of chains, the British government was quietly writing checks to the very people who held the key. So which means the British government was writing checks to the slave masters. Emancipation came with compensation, not for the enslaved, but for the enslavers. So the slave master got compensation from the British government, but the black people who were held as slaves were never compensated. This is Cassius Stewart. It says, Britain funneled 126,848 pounds of fortune worth millions today straight into the pockets of 1,057 Bahamian slave owners for the loss of their so-called property. And the 10,087 enslaved people, they received nothing except open air and the expectation to keep working. Let's tell the truth about the economic architecture of this country. The white elites didn't get a head start. In the race for prosperity, they started at the finish line, handed capital, credit, and compensation. So they get everything. But black Bahamians were forced to start 1 mile behind the starting line, barefoot and penniless, carrying the weight of a system designed to erase them. Generations later, we are still living the math of that theft. Yes, we've achieved political power. We hold the gavel and we hold the vote, but too many of our people remain locked out of economic power. Too many are trapped on a hamster wheel of poverty, running twice as hard just to stay in the same place, trying to enter a realm of prosperity that was fenced off centuries ago. It is time to wake up. Our people must be free, not only by a change of leadership, but by a change of ownership. Because true freedom is not simply a wage. True freedom is the ground you stand on. Until we own the land and the productive assets of our nation, we will remain tenants in our own country. The race was rigged, but we can still rewrite the rules and build a Bahamas where freedom finally has a foundation. When I read that, that stood out to me. Because, and I'm not getting into all of the colorism, but it stood out to me because that is our reality. I have never smoked dope in my life. I have never smoked dope in my life. Never. I have never, but here it is. There is no bank that will give me, a Bahamian, a black Bahamian, a piece of money for land. But they will give any white Bahamian money for land and money for business. They will not give me, a black man, money for a business. Yeah, I don't mind Bahamas Development Bank and them. They're not designed for the average Bahamian. They're designed for whoever the Bahamas Development Bank is designed to cater to, whoever the government's political connection is. So if you are connected to the government, you could get this money. If you are somewhere tied up in politics, you could get this money. But if you are an average Bahamian, they're giving you this money. You understand what I'm saying to you? They ain't working with you. They don't have you to study. They don't care about you. If you ain't kissing somebody backside, and some of them, even when you kissing their backside, they still ain't helping you. Because this money going to their friends, their lovers, the people they connected to, the people they're in bed with. This is what the money going to. If you ain't laying up, no $200,000 is yours. No land is yours. And here it is. After all of this stuff, you know that we have been thrown backward. You know that we have been left out in the cold.